Hello, Mr. Sahu. I'm Sushil Agrawal, and thank you
Yes, sir.
for your time for confirming your participation in this webinar. Members are joining.
Yeah, absolutely
However,
no problem, sir.
we'll take 5 more minutes uh, so that more members can join. And we also have with us uh, Shri O.P. Platka ji. He is a veteran exporter from Calcutta. He is a former chairman, immediate past chairman, and he is a member of our management committee, and he
Yes,
is also the regional convener.
yes, sir. Yes, yes. So
Namaskar, sir.
my voice is audible, sir.
Yes, sir, it's perfectly clear.
Okay, okay, fine, thank you. No problem, sir. Let the people join. Absolutely, we'll
Yeah.
start accordingly. I am available, not a
Sir,
Hello,
thank you very
sir.
much.
Welcome.
problem. Okay, sir. Welcome. Thank you, sir.
आपसे बात तो बहुत हुई लेकिन फीस मिल पाए थे वर्ष ज्वाइनिंग
Yes, sir. Welcome. Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Also. Yes, of course. We have not met actually. Truly.
but it has always been a pleasure to talk to you, sir.
Oh, that's great, sir. That's a great appreciation.
And
Thank
you
you.
have been very supportive and you have been always responding to our
No, no,
queries.
no, no. Thank you. Thank you for at least this kind words, sir.
सुशील,
हाँ सर.
ऐसा है कि जब पार्टिसिपेंट ज्वाइन कर ले तो साहू साहब को हम इंट्रोड्यूस कर देगा क्योंकि साहू साहब से हम काफी बातचीत करते रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल सर. और
सुशील चालू कर लो अब.
So, welcome members. Welcome to this session on export credit risk management and schemes of ECGC for the exporter community. We have with us Mr. Ellen Sahu from ECGC, Calcutta. He has been associated with the council since many years and he's quite approachable and available. So we invite Mr. Sahu. And we also have with us Mr. Pralatka, who needs no introduction to the members. So, Sir will be there. Sir will be moderating with Mr. Sahu. And I hope the members find this session very useful. And in case they have any queries, they can write on a Q&A or can post their comments in the chat session. And we'll try to answer them as well. Welcome all members. And I'll ask Mr. Palatka to say a few words and then Mr. Sahu will start the program.
Mr. Alan Sahu's full name is Sri Lakshmi Narayan Sahuji,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
and he is a very business friendly, very positive officer. And I would advise members, after he explains about their products and services, we should feel free to ask him and place before him any of the questions, and he would take additional initiative to solve all our issues. Thank you. Welcome, Sahuji.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. And good afternoon to all of you. Also, welcome to all the participants for today's program. And I'll give a brief overview of our ECGC policy, about ECGC. Then what are the services we are providing to all the exporters? What are the policy schemes which are available? What are the procedure, the basic procedural aspects what are required to actually comply under policy. And during any time of my presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I'll do my best of my efforts. I will definitely try to clarify all the whatever points you raise. So let me start with my presentation, sir. One second, sir. So is the presentation appearing now?
Share the screen, no problem, sir. I have the presentation. I'll try. You please close your screen. I'll try. And I'll share it.
Okay, right.
So I've shared the screen. I hope
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
visible
it
to
is
everyone.
visible. I think you can make it full screen, sir. Slide slow.
Yeah,
Slide
why
slow.
not?
Yeah, then second slide, please. Okay, sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So before, like, it is very important to know about, tell me about our organization, ECGC. So this is a 100% owned by, this is an organization owned 100% by Government of India. And we are also managed by Board of Directors, comprising mainly from representative of the Government of India, the Reserve Bank of India, and the banking industry, the banking sector and insurance sector, and also from members from the exporting community. Like periodically there are from like leather CLE or EPCH or EPC, the directors of such councils are also board of directors of our corporation. We also happen to be the fifth largest credit insurer of the world in terms of the coverage of national exports, and present capital paid up capital is rupees 2,500 crores, and we have the authorized capital of rupees 5,000 crore. So if you see the capital wise, if you see, even most of the, if you compare our capital size with the public sector general insurance companies, our capital is quite adequate enough, because we are required to have more capital. Reason being, we also provide cover for the long term project exports, wherein the capital requirement is very high. Next, sir. Okay. So you can just, I am giving you the last 5 year financials details for benefit of all the members. You can see the whatever premium, and you can see for the last 5 year, majority of the claim what we earn, a premium what we earn in a yearly basis, we also end up paying in the basis of claim. So ECGC, even though we are not, the intention of setting of ECGC is mainly for promotion of exports and not to make profits. So, but let me tell you, in spite of our claim payment, this much claim payment track record, we are financially adequate, strong enough, and the net worth of the company is rupees 5,214 15 crores as of 31st March 2020. So I'll tell you, beside the premium income, we also have a investment income. So whatever premium we are doing earning, we are also investing in government securities and different areas. So we are also earning substantial amount from the investment. So that's how we are always, we have not required to seek government support for any of the claim payments. Every claim payment we are honoring from our capital only. Next. The main objective, as I told you, of establishment of ECGC is to promote the exports, mainly by protecting against commercial and political risk in realization of export proceeds. Because whenever any exporter is doing a export transaction, his main concern will be to how to realize, get back the money from the overseas buyer. And so that is the major thing. Unless if you make a good product, you design and make a very good product, you also export it, but if you don't get the money back, then your entire effort is has gone into wastage. And this being export transaction, the buyer being in a foreign country and the language, everything different, it being different, so it is very important, and that is important, very severe, it's a large risk, and that is what we are covering. We are also not only providing cover to exporters, we are also providing cover to the banks also. Like banks are extending finance to the exporters for packing credit loans they are sanctioning. So when the exporters are availing packing credit finance facility from the banks, now banks are also running into a risk. Assuming the exporter has availed a finance from the bank for purpose of export, but some reason he cannot make export, or he could not succeed manufacturing, or he something goes wrong, then the bank is running into risk. So that risk also is covered by ECGC. That is also one of the major business of ECGC. And also we like trade related services, like we are also providing factoring services also, we have started, but in a very low scale. And the buyer report, all that also we are providing. Next slide, sir. Now let us talk for the benefit of all members. Let us assuming ki you know, I am today I am coming to the export field for the first time. Now, what are the risks involved in a export transaction? So these are the major risks which are actually involved in a major export when you enter into export. Because when you are exporting, the purpose is to get a foreign exchange into India. And nowadays, you cannot get LC or you cannot ask your buyer to make payment in advance payment. So only the option to enter export market business is to offer credit to the buyer. So once you offer credit to the buyer, you naturally run a risk whether you will be getting paid after the due date. Now, if you are not paid, then your business is lost. So what are the risks? First is commercial risk. Then we have exchange risk. A commercial risk is directly related to the buyer, the credit worthiness of the buyer. Exchange risk is, for example, today you are dealing when you are making export today, the rate of per dollar is 74 rupees. And when you are realizing the money, if the dollar has reduced, value has reduced and you get at 70 rupees, then you are losing money. But if it has increased, naturally you will be gaining, definitely. Then there is a transfer risk. In some countries, this is a major problem, particularly in Middle East countries, where or African countries, where there are political issues are there. In that countries, no, even though the buyer will be making payment in the local currency to the bank, but the country is not having sufficient foreign currency, and the amount is not coming to your account. So that is called as transfer risk. Economic risk, as you know, suddenly your product has reached and the buyer has also taken delivery. Now, due to economic reason, like the market demand for the product has reduced, now he is unable to sell it. So he'll definitely he's not going to pay you. So, or the demand has reduced suddenly for your product, the design is no more in use, then also buyer will not be able to pay you. So that is called as economic risk. Because economic risk, the buyer is very much sound, but he is unable to perform his business, because of which he is unable to make the payment. Political risk is called as it, which is directly related to the country of the import. Now, suddenly, if your product you are selling is, because we are talking about handicraft goods. Now, in handicraft good also there are many variety, and you are using some wood or maybe some animal product like horn or something you may be using. Now, assuming ki some country suddenly imposes a ban on certain kind of wood, which is not there. When you are exporting, there was no ban. But after the goods have been exported or it is going to enter the buyer country, the country says ki this wood is banned for import in this country. Now, even though you are not at fault, but you will not be getting paid. So that is covered under political risk. That is considered the political risk. Any imposition of certain ban or anything, or even any change of government because of which your the business disturbance takes place, all these are covered under political risk. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, thank you, sir. Now, having said about the major risks which are associated with export, now we'll come to the different terms of payment and how the risks are associated with them. One very important observation being in ECGC, I have observed people are when they're raising invoice or raising a purchase order, they're writing the terms of payment which is very vague in nature. It is not, you cannot make out exactly what is the terms of payment. So when you are dealing in internal export trade, it is important the actual correct terminology is used for the export trade. If you write so only like payment terms, telegraphic transfer. Now it is silent. What is the tenor of the bill? Whether it's telegraphic transfer means whether it is by 30 days or it is within 90 days or 180 days. So you are giving a chance to the buyer, open end. You are leaving it open ended basically. So you should be very clear whenever you are raising a commercial invoice regarding the terms of payment. Now, every terms of payment when you are writing also, you also must be knowing what are the risks associated with them. Now, so I'll cover that part. Now, first and the safest terms of payment in export transaction is advance payment. Now, if you are getting 100% payment in advance before making shipment, I think you will be the most happy. Any exporter will be the most happiest person. But it is very rare in today's state. It is very rare to get 100% payment in advance. So very rare. So that is ruled out. Now next comes a letter of credit, which can be at a side basis or at usance basis. Sir, am I clearly audible?
Sir, it is absolutely clear. Don't worry.
Okay,
Please
fine, sir.
continue.
Thank you. Okay. Now there comes a letter of credit, which can be like which can be at side terms or at usance terms. So, but again, when you talk about letter of credit, to nowadays what we observe mostly in the developed market, developed countries, the buyers are not very reluctant to open letter of credit because opening a letter of credit it already a cost. Then it also blocks the buyer limits. Then secondly, any changes or advising anything, any action under a LC requires additional expenses. So similarly, if a LC by the time you receive and procure goods and process it, and by the time you are going to make shipment, if the LC has expired or the last date of shipment has exceeded, you are again required to get it amended. Even for that also, there is a charge is required to pay to the bank. So nowadays, slowly, if you see, letter of credit is slowly vanishing. Unless it is a big value, high value transaction or a very demanding product only, you will find letter of credit. But in terms, if I talk about handicrafts and all these products, the letter of credits are very limited. Usage of letter of credit is very limited. Even then, in the LC also, the bank has every right because complying for a small exporter, the LC conditions are not very easy. The LC, what exactly LC? LC is a letter of credit and wherein you have to comply with the conditions mentioned in the letter of credit and also provide the documents as specified in the letter of credit. If an exporter is unable to comply all the terms of LC or unable to provide a particular document as specified in the LC, bank has every right to dishonor the payment. Similarly, under LC also, there is a risk of the bank, LC opening bank going in defaulting or going bankrupt, and also political risk is also associated. So you cannot say that LC is completely safe, and it is not a very user-friendly mechanism basically. Next slide, sir. Now whatever terms I'm going to tell, these are all non LC. It's basically document. It's on a document purely like DP or CAD, which is called as side terms of payment. In DP and CAD is used when the mode of shipment is C by C. These shipments are made by C. So here also DP means documents against payment. CAD is cash against document. Both are same only. So basically it's a side terms of payment. So in this, the goods are moved by the sea and the original bill of lading is it's a negotiable instrument. So only after the buyer is making payment, the documents are in this DP-CAD transaction also, the documents also are routed from buyer's bank to the exporter's bank to the buyer's bank. It is routed. Now buyer will what buyer will do? Buyer will make the payment to their bank and take release of the bill of lading, based on which he can clear the cargo from the shipping line. So this is a safer method of transaction because the title of goods are still in the hands of you only, the exporter. So in any case, if buyer makes to don't clear the don't make payment, he cannot clear the consignment also, and you still hold the consignment in your control. So the risk here is non-acceptance basically. So that will happen. Again, there is also, this is also, next is OD side, what I am telling. It is also side terms, but if you are making by air, then it is as good as credit only because if you, any shipment going by air, airway bill is a non-negotiable instrument. So no one is required to produce a original airway bill to claim the cargo from the airline. So even without a original airway bill, the buyer is always able to take delivery of the consignment. So even though buyer might have mentioned you side terms of payment, but if he's asking you to make shipment by air, then you should be more careful, because you may be thinking it is a side term only. At best, he will not take delivery of the consignment. But if it is a air shipment, he will definitely take delivery of the consignment without requiring the original airway bill. That means he will not be required to make you payment by the time he takes delivery of the consignment. So any air shipment is treated as basically credit terms of payment only. Now this next terms is DA, is documents against acceptance, which is purely a credit terms of payment. Here you as an exporter, you are sending the bill of lading, invoice, then bill of exchange, everything from your bank to the overseas buyer's bank. Now after reaching there, the buyer is only giving acceptance on the bill of exchange. Okay, I will honor the the bill on the 90th day or 30th day as per the specified terms, 30 day, 90 day, or 180 days. So accordingly, bank will release the original bill of lading and buyer will clear the consignment. Now here you are totally at the mercy of buyer, because he has already taken delivery of the consignment. Now it is up to him to make payment on the agreed time period. So this is definitely the whatever terms I have mentioned, it is as per the risk perception, from the lowest risk to the highest risk. Now next terms, next sir. So the terms of payment already it is clear. Now you understand, you must be understanding what are the risks associated with each terms of payment. Now coming to ECGC policy, I will just tell you one thing. ECGC only provide only one kind of policy, which is called as credit insurance policy. The credit insurance, one not policy, sorry, one cover, which is credit insurance cover. So but for that we have multiple kind of policies, because as per the exporter requirement we have designed multiple type of policies. But one thing is common for all policies is that the risk covered remains same. The risk covered which remains either the risk of non-payment because of either the buyer risk or the country risk. Buyer risk is commercial risk, country risk is called as political risk. Now I will, as a insurance company, I'll also let me clarify, we are not covering all the risk which can arise in an export transaction. So we have also certain risks which we are covering, and we are also not covering many risks. So I will highlight all the risks which is covered under policy and also what is not covered by ECGC. So it is very important, because to be transparent when you are taking a policy cover, you should not assume कि ECGC, once you have taken a ECC policy cover, that means all risk are absorbed by ECGC. It is not so. So what risk we are covering? So that also we have divided into two parts. One is commercial risk, one is political risk. Now under commercial risk, first is the bank or buyer's failure to make payment due to their financial limitation or whatever, which is called as basically default of the buyer. Buyer is active in business, but due to some temporary problem, or even though intentionally also you can say is not willing to make payment. So bank will arise when it is a letter of credit transaction, and if it is a not a letter of credit, then it is a buyer risk. That is thing. Then second is insolvency of the buyer. So many time you will find in today's state, you particularly in the handicraft sector, you must be aware many large buyers have failed. Even Debenhams kind of buyers have also failed recently. So very large buyer where we had given cover to the extent of almost 100 crores. So even such large buyers have gone bankrupt. So we ECGC also received substantial claim on account of such buyers also, and we are also honoring all such claims. So you can imagine the buyers which were there for almost 60, 70 years doing such a good business. Nobody would have imagined that they will go bankrupt in so easily, but nobody can predict. So that is the main risk under in export. The buyers will be paying you promptly everything. They'll be placing you order also, so they'll be paying promptly. But suddenly they will go one they'll declare themselves bankrupt, and by the time you get a notice about the bankruptcy, already you would have your goods outstanding payment would have reached to 5 crore, 6 crore, whatever. So bankruptcy is a major risk, particularly in the developed countries like USA, UK, Europe, Germany, all these countries. It's a very risky factor. Now, now coming to then again risk of non-acceptance. Sir, 1 second. Sir, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you later. Then risk of non-acceptance. Now buyer placed you the order, and you prepared goods, everything, and you also, as per the purchase order, you made the shipment also. Then after the shipment has moved, and once it has reached port or whatever, buyer is not ready to take delivery of the consignment. The reason can be anything. Maybe the market, the demand for the product is not there, or he is not having money to take delivery of the consignment, or he is facing some problem because of which he is not taking delivery. So that is also a risk, because mm, even though the goods are in your control, but you have already incurred the freight charges, and now goods have already reached there. Now there you have option. You either have to bring back or resell to alternate buyer. So you'll be incurring additional charges. So that is also a risk for you. That risk is also covered under policy. Protected default, as I told you in advance itself, the any buyer once he has not paid you for after due date for 4 month period, if he has not paid you, that is called as protected default. That is you can lodge a claim with ECC. Sorry, next slide please. Then similarly, political risks are also very important. So no one should undermine the risk of political risk, and particularly in today's state, when the global, like you talk of COVID, or even the geopolitical situation among the different countries. So political risk also has not, you cannot take it very easily, lightly. That is number one is risk due to war between any country. Then risk of imposition of an import ban after the delivery, rather the shipments of the goods. So this is a very risky, this is a very risk. I already explained you in advance. The suppose your product is now at present there is no ban for that country, but once you have shipped the good, if the buyer country is imposing any ban, then also you will be suffering into risk. That is a risk what we are covering. Then if the country itself going in some political turmoil, like surrendering the political sovereignty, or changes in the policies of the government, and due to insufficient foreign currency, if they suddenly impose some exchange control regulation, uh, or they don't have sufficient foreign currency, they also impose some trade embargo. Trade embargo, again I'll tell you, mm, suppose USA like imposing some sanction in some country like Iran or Iraq, or maybe any country, because of which your exports are affected, your goods have already moved. Now USA says they cannot deal with India or something like that. Even that is a risk for you. That kind of risk is also covered by ECGC. Next slide, sir. Similarly, this is very important for all the members also to know. ECGC also not providing cover for certain many risks also, like the first and foremost being commercial disputes, quality dispute, what we call, or counterclaims. Now there will be definitely many questions. I will also reply to them. See, dispute. Suppose the buyer has specified some the goods to be supplied as per certain specification, and as an exporter, if you are unable to comply to that specification and you are supplying some other product which buyer is not ready to accept, that is called as quality dispute. So that risk are not covered by ECGC. So it is very important whenever you are fulfilling an export order, you please, whenever you are taking a purchase order, kindly make sure to avoid this kind of issues happening at the payment stage. What I suggest you, whenever you are drafting a purchase order, kindly take proper description and the time, color or whatever as per your product, what are the important parameters that you please highlight in the purchase order and get it approved by the buyer itself at the time of issue of PO. Comply to that, and also if possible any third party agency who can certify anything, if it is that these are into the same specification, do it at the shipment stage itself, have it in your record. So if buyer is, because many time what we have observed, buyer has taken goods, he has kept quiet. Now at a later date he is raising, no, no, your goods are not proper, or this thing, that thing. But if you have such records available, then you can counter to the buyer's argument also. And similarly, if a claim occurs also for ECGC, it will be easy to settle that claim. But if no such records are available and outrightly buyer is raising a quality dispute, for ECGC it becomes difficult to settle some claims. And in fact, if the claim value is very large, if it is large enough, and we also advise exporter to go for legal dispute against the buyer. And if the exporter is getting a favorable judgment in his favor, we settle the claim for exporter. But this is not possible for the smaller value claims because fighting legally in a buyer country is also very expensive. Similarly, causes inherent in the nature of goods. Like I'll tell you one thing, like you are using some product, some natural product in your manufacturing process. Now, when you use it, everything, process the goods, everything, it was fine. But during transit, if the transit period is say 30 or 40 days, and during the transit period, the product has undergone changes mainly because of uh, the temperature during storage or anything, because of which buyer is not accepting the goods. So because it will not of no use for him. So that is also not covered under ECC policy. Buyer's failure to obtain import license. Now, this will generally for handicraft, this may not happen. But if the commodity is some restricted commodity, wherein for importing also the buyer is required to have some import license, and he is not holding such license, and you have sent a goods from India to that country. Now, if the importer is not having that license, their country will not allow such goods to enter into the that their territory. So that is a risk which not covered by ECEC. Insolvency default of the agents or collecting bank. This I will highlight. Now, assuming you have made a shipment on DPH site term. DPH site. So DPH site means the shipping line will release the consignment to the buyer only against production of the original bill of lading. Now, assuming the shipping line the shipping line has released the consignment without taking a original bill of lading. If that has happened, then ECGC is not liable. You have to take legal recourse against the shipping line, because shipping line's role, you have paid him the shipping charges. His role is only to ship the goods from India to the country, the destination country, and release it against the original bill of lading. He is not supposed to release without a original bill of lading. Similarly, we are not covering general insurance risk. General insurance risk means very common is transit risk. So any loss or damage to the goods during transit, if any loss occurs because of that, that is not covered by ECGC. You need to necessarily have the transit risk or whatever general insurance risk wherever applicable for your goods. Exchange fluctuation risk is also not covered by ECGC. So generally in the present scenario, this will not arise because if you see present trend, the generally rupee is depreciating only slowly. It is not ki rupee we don't expect the rupee to appreciate substantially in the coming, but it can happen ki today per dollar the rate is 74 rupees, and maybe after 6 months, if the rate crashes to, if the rupee appreciate and it becomes a 70 rupees, then if you have made an export today at 74 and you will be paid after 6 months, then definitely you are losing 4 rupees per dollar, which is a big amount. But such risk is not, there will be loss to you, but that is not covered by ECEC. For that, you can have forward cover through your bankers. Then failure of the exporter to fulfill terms of contract. So it is very important whenever you are doing export, kindly stick to the timelines specified by the buyer. Because if the buyer requires a goods for the Christmas and you are not able to supply by the deadline, if you send it after 10 days delay also, the product will be of no use. That is a waste for him also. So that will, if you have not complied to the timeline specified by the buyer and buyer don't make payment to you, and if you come for a claim, will not be able to help you. Any questions, any point of time, please feel free to ask, sir. Okay. Hope till now the risk what is covered, not covered is I have clearly explained to all of you. Now I'll come to the basic policy schemes what we are holding. Generally, we are having two kind of policy scheme. One is called as declaration based, the turnover based policy what we call, and also we have exposure based policy. So in the declaration based policy, generally it is declaration based policy is suitable for small and medium exporters within a turnover of 20 to 30 crore, starting from say 1 crore to say 20-30 crore also. It is very suitable policy, very friendly, because one thing, your cost is you are in a control of your cost is limited. You pay only whatever export you do. You don't pay anything excess. If you today this year suppose you make export of 25 crore, you pay premium for 5 crore only. And if you make export of 10 crore, then you pay for 10 crore. So it is a very flexible, which is called as comprehensive based policy. Now, these are the policies. Export turnover policy, which is of course for large exporter, wherein the criteria, minimum criteria is minimum 20 lakhs rupee per annum. One should be paying the premium. Only then the export turnover policy is issued. But they get a benefit of, if for a new exporter, when I mean for the new policy holder, they get upfront 20% discount on the premium rate, standard premium rate. The next policy is called as shipment comprehensive policy, which of course majority, I mean not majority, but many of your members are holding with us. This is of course the I mean the flag policy of ECGC. I mean large number of policies held all over India, because this is for almost this is again providing 90% cover, and you only have to pay minimum premium for only 10,000 rupees per annum, only 10,000 rupees, which is not refundable amount. Again, this is a premium amount, not any deposit, not a fees or anything. So any export you make, it is adjustable towards that shipments. Policy period is for 1 year period, and 90% cover you get. Small exporter policy is designed for exporters having export turnovers, exclusively export turnover less than 5 crores. If an exporter is having export turnover less than 5 crore per annum, then they can pay only 5,000 rupees minimum premium, and they can get a policy cover for 1 year period. That 5,000 is only, telling is minimum premium to upfront amount what they have to pay, and adjustable premium. But if agent, so it doesn't mean ki 5,000 is applicable for your entire 5 crore exports. So premium, the actual premium will depend on the country where you are making export and what are the terms of payment you are doing export. So this 5,000 is adjustable against that premium. We also have multi-buyer exposure policy, that is generally suitable only if an exporter is having turnover of around more than 100 crores turnover per annum, and is dealing with say more than 50-60 buyers. In that case, this multi-buyer exposure policy is very suitable. The reason being, here again, this is a fixed premium policy. So depending upon the amount of aggregate loss limit you take a policy, multi-buyer policy, uh, the premium is fixed for 1 year period, and any number of buyer, or even if your export turnover increases during the policy period, you are not required to pay any additional premium. But this, you are also not required to take credit limit approval like individual buyer age limit. You are not required to take under the multi-buyer exposure policy, but it is suitable only if export turnover is exceeding 100 crores. Next slide, sir. So beside that, also we have standalone policies like if an exporter is doing export but decide to don't want to take our comprehensive policy, want to take selectively for a few shipments or one buyer or something like that. For that also policy schemes are designed. So that is called as. Yeah, there was a question regarding some USA, if any country of USA deny, like they don't agree to take because of just I can go through. For some particular issues. So to the question, whoever member has raised the question, I'll just clarify here. If USA, if there was no, you are exporting suppose XYZ product to USA. Now at the time of export, there was no such ban was there for your product. So it was permitted item. That time you made the export. Now once the goods are moved from India, and now suppose government of USA is imposing some ban on that product, then this policy is coverage available under the political risk. But if the goods are not even moved from India, there is no cover. So because our cover ECGC policy cover will commence only after goods are moved from India, the shipment has taken place. So if your goods are moved, after that the imposition of ban has occurred, then you will be eligible for cover. But if the imposition is already, ban is already in place, you know ki as of 1st January the ban is already available in place, but you are making a shipment on 10th January. After that, then that is not covered. So anything if after shipment has taken place, any action has taken, then only the cover is available under the policy under political risk that is available. So standalone policies, again here we have specific shipment policy, and this is specifically for if you want to cover only one shipment from one order or one shipment, then buyer specific buyer, again for one buyer one policy. Then we have a exposure, single buyer exposure policy, which is a very good policy. Now assuming you are dealing with a particular, he is your regular buyer, you make shipment to him throughout the year. So every, suppose assuming you have per annum you have at least 6 7, at least more than 5 6 shipments you are doing per year. So in that case, this is very good, because here your turnover to the particular buyer may be, say per annum maybe 12 crore, assuming you are doing every month 1 crore shipment. Per year you will be making 12 crore shipment. But if you are doing a DA 30-day terms, then you will see, even though your turnover is 12 crore, your outstanding at any point of time will not exceed 2 month outstanding, which is only 2 crores. So in declaration based policy, you are required to pay on the turnover. So for the same buyer also, 12 crore turnover, you have to pay premium. But in single buyer exposure policy, you only are required to pay for the outstanding, maximum outstanding, which is 2 crore, and cover will be available for 1 year period on a revolving basis for 1 year period. Very cost effective policy. So if such regular buyers are there only, then it will be, it is useful. Next slide, please. Next. This is very important requirement under policy. Uh, for the one thing first and foremost is advance premium. Like I told you, the policy can be issued against a minimum premium. Like in case of comprehensive policy, it is 10,000 rupees, and in case of small exporter policy, it is only 5,000. But that is only a minimum premium what you are paying upfront for issue of a policy, which is not refundable. Assuming one new exporter today comes and takes a small exporter policy by paying 5,000 rupees, so we issue a policy for 1 year. Now, assuming for some reason he could not make any export during the 1 year period, then that 5,000 is not refundable to him. That is retained. Now, coming that he makes export. So he has to ensure, because 5,000 only advance premium, he has to ensure he, if in the January he has taken a policy, now in the month of March, a large volume of shipment is going to take place, for which the assuming the premium payable works out to some 20,000. Because what he has paid 5,000 is not adequate, he should ensure before making shipment in March that the balance 15,000 is deposited in ECC account. Because at the time of shipment, if your advance premium is not available, and if you even if you pay the premium later after making shipment, and assuming that shipment's going to claim, then we'll not be able to help you, because as per IIT guideline, advance premium is necessary to be available in policy account before the commencement of risk. Commencement of risk in ECGC case, it is date of shipment, that is the bill of lading date or airway bill date, whatever. So as on date of shipment, make sure if you are making shipment for 50 lakhs, applicable amount, premium amount is there with ECGC policy account before that. Similarly, credit limit approval to be obtained on all buyers. This is a very important area where also I know the customer, the members are also facing difficulty. At the same time, we are also facing difficulty with the application. I'll just highlight all these areas. First of all, this credit limit facility, what we are offering under policy, it is, I'll tell you, it is really, the fees we are charging is 500, which I am seeing since I joined ECGC in 2002. The fees we have not changed. The 500 with what we used to charge at that time, even now also we are charging 500 only. We have not increased. But per buyer report, it costs us almost 5 to 6,000, even more also, depending upon the country. So that cost we are observing. 500 we are charging, that is okay. But what difficulty we are facing here, whenever exporters are applying the application, they don't provide first correct name and address, complete address of the buyer. They sometimes miss out, don't provide the telephone number, email ID. These informations are very important, because if it is a new buyer which is not in our record, we have to call for a fresh report. So if the buyer details what you have provided is incomplete or not correct, then it is a loss in time for you also, because we'll, based on whatever information you are giving, we'll send the same to agency. We are not having our own office overseas. We are dependent on third party agencies. Now this information we send to the third party agency, they verify, they, because foreign countries, they are not working like India. They work on the, they specified working days only, and specified time only. If any holiday means, it is holiday, purely holiday for them. So after spending this much time, they come back and say, Ki, we are unable to locate. So again, it is a loss of time for you. You may be willing to make the shipment quickly, but because of your incorrect application, there is a loss of time. So make sure in the first stage itself, whenever you are submitting a credit limit application, whatever uh, correct information available, you provide in the application. Also, don't, I mean, there may be, mm, ask for the correct information from the buyer only. I mean, don't take the information from different sources, but try to get the correct information from the buyer. And same thing, you give it to ECGC, so that the investigation time is reduced and we are able to do clear your application timely. First is name and address, everything fine. Now, if you are already holding policy, you are also you are holding a credit limit on the buyer also. Presently, you are holding credit limit for 50 lakhs. Now, because of increased order, you want additional limit of 2 crore. So enhancement. In that case, very important to provide the shipment experience, up-to-date shipment experience. Without providing, you submit the application, the shipment experience. We again write to you to provide shipment experience, and then you give it. So that is a loss of time basically. And whenever you are giving shipment experience, kindly keep up to date the realization information also, because you provide shipment detail but don't provide the realization date. So we assume the payment is not realized. Again, we'll be asking you clarification. So that the delays can be avoided. The application format is well designed. Please give complete information as specified in the application. It will avoid delay and loss of time. And this credit limit also, I tell you, it is so useful because today you may not be having a valid order, I mean confirmed order. But if you also just trying to see whether you are at an inquiry stage and you want to verify whether you will get a CC cover. So if you are holding our comprehensive policy, you can apply with 500 and get a verification from ECGC. That is available. This credit limit is facility is available only under the comprehensive declaration based whole turnover policy, like export turnover policy, shipment comprehensive risk policy, and small exporters policy, not under the multiware and other policies. Just a second, sir. Hello, sir, I am in a meeting. I'll call you later on. Now, this third point is, now this is a very important this is a very important information I just want to highlight to all the members. It is not key, this is not there in this compliance of RBI guideline for direct dispatch of document. This is a very old and existing guideline. RBI stipulation is available. Now slowly what we observe is exporters are not complying this guideline, because of which we are finding difficult to settle claims. As you know, for dispatch of export document, RBI has laid down certain guidelines, like only status holder exporters are permitted to send document directly to the buyer. Other than that, general exporters are not supposed to send document directly to the buyer. They have to necessarily send the document through from their bank to the buyer's bank only. They cannot send it directly to the buyer. They can send only when they have realized 100% advance payment. So non-status holder exporters can send document directly to the buyer only if 100% payment is realized against the shipment. If payment is not realized and you are making a shipment, you will be realizing money after the shipment. You have to necessarily send the document through your bank only. Because if claim occurs for, if you have sent document directly to the buyer and claim has happened, then we'll settle claim only subject to the regularization of such export transaction by Reserve Bank of India. Please keep in mind, this is very important requirement, because this is a stipulation by RBI. We are, because ECGC policy, again I'll tell you, it is a like it is we cannot overlook any rule stipulated by RBI or say customs or anything. The rules of the law land has to be. We are, again, our policy is designed within that ambit of the rules only. That you please take care. Now, again, one more important point is monthly shipment declaration of all shipment to be submitted. Here again, we find lot of we face difficulty when it comes to claim settlement, because when you have taken a comprehensive policy, I mean, any whole turnover policy like export turnover, shipment comprehensive of the small exporter policy, what is important, whatever export you will be doing for the next 12-month period from um, next the policy 1 year period, all shipments are required to be declared under the policy. So all shipments, unless if you have taken cover for LC, non-LC, everything, then you have to declare both LC as well as non-LC. But if you have excluded for letter of credit, then you are not required to declare LC. but non-LC is compulsorily need to be declared. So as per the option you have taken the policy, you are required to declare all shipment to all buyers. You cannot say "Ki these two are my good buyer, they are paying promptly, so I will not declare them under policy." Because at a later stage, if we notice ki you have not declared such shipment, and while processing a claim, even that claim which you have declared also is not payable. So that point maybe please, this is a comprehensive policy, but I'll tell you that's why you have policy option. But if an exporter feels ki I don't want to cover all my buyer, I want to cover only my selected 4-5 buyer, then please, then comprehensive policy, this declare whole ton of policy is not the option for you. Don't take that policy. If your intention is only to have selectively cover for selected buyer, please go to the other kind of policies, the selective cover what we are having. And once you have decided to go for comprehensive policy, please declare all shipment to all buyers. Like the premium rate, of course, the chart is given to you. Premium rate is again, it is as per the risk and the country where you are making export. So if the DP or CAD will be the lowest premium rate, then the credit terms like DA 90 day will be 100. If the credit period increases, the premium rate also increases. Similarly, shipments to a developed countries will be lesser premium, and the riskier country will be higher premium. Of course, that rate chart and country list is always provided along with the policy document with you. And in case any difficulty you face at the time for calculation of premium, anything, you can contact us anytime, not a problem. Next slide, sir. So once you've complied all the terms and I mean the shipment declaration, everything you have done, you made a shipment, you no, you took a ECC policy cover, then you took credit limit approval, paid advance premium, you made a shipment also, and you declared to ECGC. Now, what happens is the goods have reached there. Now, you have made a shipment on DP8 site terms, DP8 site, wherein the buyer is supposed to make payment to take delivery of the consignment. After reaching the in the buyer country, now buyer is not having money or he is having some problem. So he says he requests you kindly change the terms to DA term, like DA term, so that he will take delivery of the cargo and he will pay you later. Or you have sold the goods on DA 30-day term, 30-day credit, but after taking if he is not able to pay you 30 days, he requests you for additional time, so 90 day or 120 days. So both options are possible, but only thing you are required to take our prior approval. Don't do without our prior approval. All these cases, please seek our prior approval. We'll also, as per the credit limit, we'll also verify if the buyer record is good, anything, we'll provide you approval. If any additional premium will be payable, that you have to pay, but take prior approval. Similarly, now there can be another instance, you made the shipment, but now buyer is not taking delivery of the consignment. So what you have the option, since you are not the original buyer is not taking delivery, you have option to either resell to alternate buyer at a discounted price also. You sold you have made the shipment from India for 100 rupees. Now original buyer is not taking. So you can sell the same good, try to locate nearby some alternate buyer, because nobody will be ready to buy for same 100 rupees. They will ask you 20%, 10% or maybe 30% discount. So please seek our prior approval and you can resell them. If the discount is within 25% of the origin, 25%, even you are not required to seek our approval. You can on your own, you can conclude the transaction and come for a claim once the payment is received from the alternate buyer. Up to 25%, no problem. Beyond 25% loss, you need prior approval. Similarly, for reimportation also, where you are unable to locate an alternate buyer, now you decide to bring it back and your loss is going to be more than 25%, then you need prior approval. Now, assuming he has already taken delivery of the consignment and due date has completed, but he is not making the payment. So now the generally we'll observe the payments are not paid on the due date. There is generally some delay. So for ECGC purpose, if if a payment due date is on 31st January, you are not getting paid for another 30 days, say 2nd February. So you are, sorry, 31st January, 31st, 3rd March, 2nd March, let us say 2nd March. You are not getting paid till that date also. So that day, after completion of 30 days from the original due date, the bill is considered overdue. Once the bill has crossed overdue period, you are required to inform ECGC immediately on completion of the overdue period. You have, of course, additional 15 days time. So immediately after that, please inform to ECGC. This is also important step because it is possible same for the same buyer. The same buyer may be experiencing some financial difficulty, and ECGC might have extended cover on the same buyer for multiple exporters from India. Now your due date was fast and other exporters were later on. Now assuming you don't inform us in time, meanwhile your bill is overdue, you don't inform us, and meanwhile we also provide cover to some other exporters also, and our liability is increasing because of you not reporting in time. Our liability has increased. Then there will be some material impact on your claim also. So please inform us in time that report of overdue. Once you have reported a overdue, we'll advise you to initiate some recovery step, which is again free of cost. And also you don't have to do anything. You just have to draft 3-4 emails. So basic steps only you have to do. So this is a pre-requirement requisite for the for lodgement of claim. So recovery step you have to initiate. Once you have initiated, if payment is not coming, you can lodge claim with ECC with all the supporting documents which are specified in the claim form. And also I tell you, we don't require any document which is not there in use. Like I'll tell you what we require in a claim document, like order copy, PO copy, invoice, bill of lading, shipping bill, then whatever the collection advice sent by Indian bank to overseas bank, the SWIFT message, copies of SWIFT message sent by your bank to foreign bank for follow up the payment. Then whatever correspondence you have exchanged with the buyer, email correspondence, the recovery actions you have taken, all these basic documents only will require. Then case to case basis, any dispute or anything is there, we may seek additional document. So otherwise, we will not ask you for any document which, I mean, the exporter cannot provide. And also here I like to highlight to all of you, please communicate with the buyer always with email, because when claim occurs, you can do WhatsApp or anything, no problem. Also keep track in email correspondence also a habit, because when it comes to claim, the email correspondence will be only accepted. That will only prove key, okay, buyer has some not paid or anything. That will give a proof against the buyer. So email correspondence, kindly make a habit. Whenever your payment is getting delayed or anything, please, once a due date is completed for your bill, just drop a mail. Sir, just to remind you that the payment is due date is falling. It's a polite mail only. Don't write any harsh key due date has completed. Why I have not received? Write politely just to remind you about my payment due date which I just crossed. Request you to expedite, something like that. Then follow up after 3-4 days or something. So make a habit and keep all the records so that it will be helpful for settling a claim for an ECC. Because ECGC claim, I tell you, we are in case of general insurance, if you are claiming against a vehicle, then the accident or anything damage is clearly visible. A surveyor can go check the extent of damage to a mechanic, and they can. But here in ECGC, we go through the documentation only. So documentation, if it is proper, will not have any hesitation to settle your claim in time. Now, once a claim is settled also, it does not mean that you will not follow for recovery. So in spite of settlement of claim, you have to follow for recovery from the buyer, because your dues are outstanding with the buyer. And also, if you get any recovery, it will be beneficial for you. How I'll explain you. Assuming you had a due of 100 rupees from a buyer in USA. Now you come to ECGC, lodge a claim with ECGC. As per policy, will settle you 90% cover. under the comprehensive policy. So he settled you 90 rupees claim. Now, okay, now you follow up for recovery from the buyer and you get 40 rupees recovery. You get 40 rupees recovery. So in that case, what will happen? Out of the 40 rupees, you are required to share only 36 rupees to ECGC, and you can retain 4 rupees. Like 90% we settled. So 40 you recovered, on 40 you return as 90%, that is 36 rupees. Balance 10% you retain with you. So it is always help. I mean, any additional recovery is always helpful for you only. Sir, next slide, please. Okay, so I have come to the end of my presentation. If it is there, just one.
So members, it was a very interesting presentation covering all aspects of the ECGC facilities, and it was like presented in detail, easy to understand. And in case members have any questions, we have some time. We can address those questions to Mr. Sahu. I see one question. It is, but it is already answered. It was the commercial discover with
for
regards to USA.
USA.
There is. There are no additional questions at the
No
moment.
problem, sir. No problem. I have shared my email ID also.
Yeah. So what we'll be doing is we'll be sharing the details of Mr. Sahu with all the members. And in case you have any queries, you can send an email to Mr. Sahu and copy it to the EPCH so that we keep a track of the queries also. And thank you very much, Mr. Sahu.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sir.
Hope it was understandable. The presentation is yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sahu Saab, your presentation was very good.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
And was very improved than before.
Okay.
Plus, आपने जिस तरह explain किया, I think you
और रुमाल
answered
कहाँ
all the questions.
तो आपको
Question answer
आपको
नहीं आ
बैठ
रहा
खाना खा
इसीलिए question नहीं आ रहा है. Thank you very much, sir. Very much.
Yes, sir. Anyway, also thank you to EPCH, sir, for giving us this platform to share our about the product detail, everything to your members. So hope it is productive and helpful for all your members. Also, I feel that this is important because some misconceptions get cleared. Like the members get the clear view of the what we cover, not cover. Also, they also can help us in doing faster things. So anyway, thank you, sir. Have a good day to all of you.
Most welcome, sir. And in case we get any queries, we will forward them to you. And in case people want to meet you, people from Calcutta, from West Bengal, we'll request them to contact you so that you can give them.
Yeah. Also, you can like we have branches, offices all over India. So if any exporter is located in a different state, anything we can.
Yes. But this program was especially for members from the Eastern region. Okay. So you would be the best person to address those queries.
We handle the entire issue, no problem. Okay, sir.
So thank you very much. Thank you, members, for participating. And namaskar, sir, Prahlad sir. And very soon we'll come up with a new subject for the members. Okay. Good evening.
Okay, I'm taking leave. Bye, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.